And good morning, everybody, and welcome to the TriggerCharts pre-market rundown for the day after Thanksgiving, November 27th, 2020. Coming along a little hot there. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for taking your time, as always, to discuss all things related to trading, specifically technical analysis. And when it comes to the TriggerCharts TradeStation integration that we have, we're talking about some things that really make your life easy. So we're going to discuss some of that today. Of course, everything that we discuss here today will be recorded. You can find that over on the TriggerCharts website, triggercharts.com, as well as our YouTube channel. Before we get into anything, I have to mention, as we always do, that this is for educational purposes only. And let me just kind of click a few things here to get this going here. Here we go. Nothing that we say is assumed to be a recommendation to buy or sell any security at all. Again, educational purposes only. We're going to discuss a little bit more today about what's going on with understanding how to read the charts. You know, we color-coded these to make them as easy as possible to understand. And the reason why we did that was because I developed this for me. I thought that it would be a really good idea to have an easy way to glance over a chart to understand what was happening and how to look at what we're doing. So I said, you know what? Let's just do simple colors. And in doing so, that's how this all started. So we got that going and made it pretty easy to understand. All right, with that involved, let's kind of look at what's going on here. We got the Dow Jones Industrial Futures up about 134. Another big start to the day for the Dow. We have the S&P 500 futures up 22. NASDAQ up 76. But look at this over here to the right. We got gold coming down pretty hard here. Silver, gold, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, all got punished the day after Thanksgiving. Kind of interesting. We saw this run up, I think it was a couple of years ago. Remember this? Where we saw this incredible opportunity of this new fangled type of currency, and everybody was talking about it into Thanksgiving. And then what happened? It really ramped up because everybody at Thanksgiving table, I think it was 2017, was talking about, hey, you got to get some of this Bitcoin. It's going up forever. And then after that, it kind of crashed over. Interesting timing that the day after and into Thanksgiving, it sort of popped up and then came down again. I thought that was interesting. Let me mention, since we're on the subject of Turkey Day, I hope you had a wonderful holiday. I hope you and your family are doing well. Thank you very much. There's a lot to be thankful for. Yes, it's 2020, but there's some very good things to be thankful for this year. And I'm thankful for you and for everybody that made us the #1 highest rated overall indicator in the TradeStation trading app platform. And I'm going to show you some of that today. I want to go through some things on that platform to show you where you can get some instruction manuals and understand some things from our website today. So a little bit of a change up from just doing all stocks today, kind of a little bit more education and information we're going to share with you. So a couple things I do want to talk about before we get any farther. Have you noticed? Yes, you have. We've been talking about it, this whole SPAC and EV electronic vehicles, everything electric that's been going on over the last few weeks. Hopefully, and I don't know, maybe you could show me by you could raise your hand or something, or maybe send it over in the chat. I hope many of you got some of those trades on like Plug Power that we've been talking about for the last few weeks, or BLNk charging, which was up like 330% since we started mentioning that. We started talking about that at about $10 a share. It went up dramatically. Remember, let's kind of pull this up on the chart here. BLNk charging. You know, we these lines are where times that we talked about it. 1153 went up to about 34. Really a dramatic move overall. So that really was something that I think we should have caught on to. Hopefully, many of you got that. Did any of you get that trade? Just send me a chat over and say that you got that trade. I'm hoping you got a piece of this at least, because this was a great trade to have. We saw that there was this yellow bar, right? We saw that over on the chart, there was a yellow breakout bar that signaled the alert. Yellow is an alert. It's kind of like smacks you in the face and it's like, hey, wake up. Something's happening. And the yellow bar, when it clears and it closes, whatever it's on a daily, a 30-minute, 60-minute, whatever the time frame is, it's a signal that something's going on. Now, a lot of times we talk about, and I teach you how to use it multiple time frames. Look at your 30-minute, your 60-minute, your 120, 240s, and daily and weeklies. Look at the right to left, right? Always look at the weeklies on the top here. When we look at up here, We look at things like the weeklies that shows you on the multi-time frame radar screen that I show you. Okay, it was, long, just an example of SPY, but long for 3 weeks. Okay, that's an overriding long-term, at least 3-bar trading signal that's been long. And we got some profit, but we got the 240 that's turning long. Always look from right to left all the time. That's the rule that I've taught you many, many times. I've drawn arrows, I've circled, I've highlighted, I've discussed, I've sang, I've screamed. Right to left. Look left all the time. And when we look left on this, we saw that, you know what? If we drew this line right at that breakout line right there, we can kind of put it right where it was, kind of above that red. And then the breakout here, there was nothing when we look left. There was absolutely nothing going on. If you think about it and you look at this, when we go and start looking this way on this chart, there's nothing down in this area, right? This whole area, there's nothing. That being the case, there's no traders that really have a lot of volume that are going to compress this price here right now. And that's where we saw on the break, this thing just take off and skyrocket up. We're talking about a 300% gain. You don't get those very often. I do see many people in the chat room are thanking me for this, and they did, in fact, get that blink. I mean, the same thing we could talk about with a Plug Power. Plug Power also had a very similar situation, right? So if we look at this, we saw that breakout right there above the prior resistance, and then it started moving up just ever so slightly. But once it cleared, and again, use your different things that you have available, the drawing tools on TradeStation. Once we cleared that level, that was a prior resistance looking from right to left, there was this opportunity to take it much, much higher all the way up to the top. This one went from 16 to 26, not as much of a move in this short period of time, but still very significant overall. So, when we look at all of these, whether it's a daily pattern, a 30-minute pattern, a 10-minute pattern, it doesn't matter. What's happening here is that we are seeing that all these things are yellow bars, then followed by either a green bar or a red bar. And those are your signals on the completion of that bar to think about, hey, do I want to be in this trade? Now, let's go back to BLNk for a second, because I think this is interesting. One of the other things we noticed is the aileron. Aileron's an add-on to the package. All of these have a 10-day free trial. So you can check those out and get a 10-day free trial of all of these. The aileron on the bottom of this chart, what we're looking at right here on the bottom of this chart, showed that from about the start of November, we were in positive territory, well above the zero line, getting hot with reds and magentas, which are kind of levels of hot that we want to be concerned about. But nonetheless, we saw that it was in a positive formation above the zero line. So now when I talk about this, is really important. I want you to take notes on this, and I want you to think about this. When you have multiple confirmations, what it does is provide you a higher level of confidence. That higher level of confidence for trading is what you're looking for. When you have multiple things that are saying go, 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 hey, that's a good sign that the probability is on your side and the risk level is on your side for moving forward with that particular trade. And if it's not, well, maybe you stay away from it. But what we got here was a couple of things with this BLNk trade. Well, what we got was a consolidation between about $7.50 and $7.50. And again, if you use just your tools on this, just take a box tool that I like to use a lot. You just click on the box and you say, okay, let's draw out where my consolidation is, which didn't seem to work. Let's try it again. Draw your consolidation right about here. And you see that springing approach where we see that there is this incredible kind of loading down. Think about a spring. You're squeezing it, squeezing it, squeezing it. When it gets released, either direction, up or down, bam, flies higher. And what happens is you get this incredible outsized move. That's exactly what happened with this chart. So that was kind of, again, whether it's BLNk, whether you look at any other symbol, remember, these are all pattern recognitions that we're talking about that you need to start really thinking about being aware of, writing down notes, putting notes on the chart itself if you want, or looking at recognizing, okay, what do we have going on here? Number one, we have that the aileron started turning positive. Number two, we have a compression here. We have a springboard type of situation where we can't get below and can't get above. Okay, we have a breakout above a prior high. Okay, that's good. So we got like 3 or 4 things already. Now what do we have? Well, when I look left, there's nothing out there for a period of time, right? There's nothing there. And when you broke above that, you say, wow, that could be a real screamer. And it was. Short covering, buying, FOMO, whatever you want to call it, pretty significant overall. Went a little bit further than I wanted to on there. But all of the, anything electric related, charging, many of the SPACs, Fisker, which we're going to talk about also. One of the things we saw was some blow off tops recently. So that was also another area in there. So let's kind of really focus in because BLNk has it all. One of the things we saw was a blow off top. And what does that mean? Well, a blow off top is usually when there is so much interest and there is so much incredible amount of momentum that's going on, right? You know, you have this stock that's moving and it starts moving in faster. And then everybody's like, hey, take a look at that. And then you got a lot of the traders that are saying, you know what, I better get on this train. They get on the train. And then all of a sudden everybody's like, well, it's too high. I don't know if I want to get in there. It keeps moving higher, keeps moving higher. And then what happens is everybody's like, the hell with it. Let me get in on this thing. It's going to the moon. So what they do is they start ratcheting into it very strongly. And you get this, what's called a blow off top, where it's just all of that anticipation and exaggeration of the move is just pushed into a couple of days. And what we saw that happen very, very clearly. And we can see that right here, right there, blow off top. How do you know a blow off top? Yeah, you don't know it really till after the fact, but there are some signs that you could look at. First of all, for example, what you get is a gap above a prior extreme vertical or parabolic move to the upside. Then what happens is you get this extension move to the top. Now, sometimes you'll have it closing at the top or near the top on a blow off top because you have a significant amount of people that are saying, you know what, I'm not getting out of this no matter what happens. This thing is going up. I'm buying more. I got to get in. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your family. Scream it from every avenue of social media. Get in. Oh my God, this thing is going up forever. There is all of a sudden a lack of any concern about risk involved. And then what happened here is this. We got this reversal. We got it, I call it a somewhat of an inside day. It kind of closed right at the bottom of that reversal. You got a bar that was, I would call just a simple doji, without getting into all bars because we don't do a lot of bar work here. But you got a simple kind of like, I'm not sure where I want to be. We have a new altimeter that was formed. So now we can take our box tool and we can draw right here. We see this new altimeter that was formed in that range. 25.28 was the level. Currently trading at 25.94, up about 2.5% today. Not a big deal. This stock could turn around on a dime, so I'm not too worried about that. But interesting. Now, this now enters a new classification of risk, just like we're seeing, by the way, with some of these other names that are doing pretty much the same thing. So, you know, when you look at this and you see that there is this incredible amount of upside opportunity that is moving, and then you see this big spike that happens right about here, then what you realize is, oh, you know what? Maybe that was a situation where I should be really aware of what's happening and how this is, you know, moving. All right, let's get back to this. But blow-off tops are interesting. Oh, so we had a blow-off top. Also, there's more. So let's look at Bitcoin actually getting crushed today, or not as bad as some of the other coins. But here's Bitcoin. A little bit of a different look. I don't think this was necessarily a blow-off top, but it was just too much. And I mean, we saw you could trade and track Bitcoin on the TradeStation platform. BTCUSD is the symbol there. So again, we have a consolidation. Again, very similar look. We have this long consolidation, and we can probably go back and draw another box that goes over even over a longer period of time. Let's bring it right up to there. Okay, we got these consolidations. We just draw the outside edges of our red and green lines from the altimeters that have been formed. And then we see this breakout. We see a yellow bar, if you can see that through that. So let's take a look at this. And we got a yellow bar right about there. What's interesting about the yellow bar and the fact that we couldn't get below any of these levels on the bottom, we got a quasi-banger pattern that's set up. The banger pattern is when you're kind of coming in, you can't get below, and all of a sudden you see a significant change to the dynamic till the aileron, and then you see a breakout above, and then the aileron stays positive, and you get this incredible rally that happens right here. So now when we look at this and we see what's happening, what's happening, gold is getting sold off pretty good here today on the top. You can see this right on the top. Gold is getting blasted today. Also, you're seeing the same thing happen with Bitcoin and Litecoin and all the other areas. Kind of like I think of a cleanup after the run-up that we saw, the alternative assets looking for things to possibly hedge against some of the risk. I mean, I'm pretty surprised with gold right now. Let's look at the GLD. Actually, let's not look at GLD. Let's look at gold itself because we'll see it pre-market. At GC, something I want to teach you here and show you. Those of you that trade options, so this is the continuous contract. Let's look at, for example, let's see if this is here. Yeah. So we're trading the December contract for futures on the S&P mini futures, right? So a lot of times I always tell you, and you see this in our discussions, and we see this on our website, we see this in our instruction manuals. Instead of having the ESZ20, which is the current contract, the problem with this, it doesn't go back far enough. This one happens to, but there's just like a lot of it's not a long-term contract. When we do the ES, we see a much longer contract and we can have a much better level of information that pushed in. Well, if you put in but you can't trade. You can't trade at ES. The generic contract, the continuous contract, you can't trade, right? So what you do is this. Here's a trick. You say whatever the contract at ES, right? That's the generic. You put in Z or whatever the month is that it is the contract date for, and then 20 for the year. So now what we get is the same look as the generic. Everything's the same, but it's tradable. You could actually hit this as a trade. This way, you could track this on your charts very easily. If all you have to know is what the date symbol is and the year symbol and the generic code, and you're done. This way, it's tradable right on your chart. If you're using chart trading over at TradeStation, very easy to do. So you can do that with any symbol. But anyway, let's go back to GC for a second. This is gold getting hit by 1.8%. Now, let's go on to kind of tick out on this a little bit, and let's go to the weekly. So what's interesting on the weekly, we're starting to get a breakdown. Now, we've seen these before, kind of this, gets to the top. This got a little bit overdone, comes down a bit, starts moving up. Gold right now trading in a bit of a hole. Now, one of the things that we talk about a lot is the idea of what are these trading patterns when we look from right to left. And one of the things is it's really important to know is a hole, a fast zone. What we say is this, that price moves through time on a horizontal basis very slowly. What that means is when you have consolidation patterns, etc., you see that price moves at a relative scale up or down when there is a lot of volume in there from a horizontal basis. It's kind of slow. However, when we have a hole, see down here, let's kind of bring this out a little bit. See these little holes right here, like blank black areas, or really the area from, I would say, right where we are right now. Right where we are right now. You see that high volume node, that yellow right there? Inside of a radar, you could take the radars on and off. Radars are a granular look at our altimeters, the range of volume that's traded on a specific security, giving us an understanding of where the institutions are actually trading. Right now, we're holding on a high volume node. Now, if we break down from there, there's still support about the 1750 level on gold. I'm not too worried about gold, to be honest with you, except for the fact that on a short-term trade, if you're our trader short-term, it's starting to roll over a bit. But we are starting to see that the buildup of a high volume node right at about this 1780, probably close to the 1800 level. But we see these holes, these areas where we see a vertical move through time that is very quick. Oftentimes, horizontal moves over time, slow price movement up or down, vertical moves through holes happen very quickly. So what we want to find is there any holes out there? Again, we can find that from looking from right to left, always looking left, finding out if there is some opportunity to have a very quick move through time. As a trader, that's what you should be paying attention to. That's what you need to be searching your charts for on a regular basis. Are we starting to see things like the altimeter starting to break above a certain area where the autopilot, which is our red, green, and red, green, orange, yellow. Red, green, orange, yellow. You don't want to see magentas ever. So it's red, green, orange, yellow. Yellow, an alert. Where are we? Where are we breaking out? What is the next thing going to happen? Red, hey, the bias is towards the short side or down. Is there a hold? Do we want to play this into that level? Green. Hey, after you get the yellow, you get the alert that you have a green. When you have the green, there's a bias towards the long side, the buy side. You buy into that potentially and look at this as an opportunity for upside. However, is there a lot of price congestion in there? And is that something that we want to really pay attention to? Let's see what LTCUSD looks like. This is Litecoin. Let's put this on a daily on this side. Yeah, we're seeing this big pop up. We got very little volume in our radar. Right now, if this does not hold, we got a little bit of volume node there, that green one that's sticking out right there. I'll draw that line on there for you, right about there. So we're coming right down the bottom. It's holding really nicely. The question is, are we going to come back down to the level about 62 or test that 60? I would think the probability is you have really good support at 60 right now, something that I would look at as an opportunity to move back into if it got down there. Yeah, we saw this move very quickly over about 10, 12 days on these alt currencies, golds, hedges that moved up dramatically. I wonder where... there we go. I don't have the data. I don't remember what this, you know what, I'm drawing a blank on what the symbol is right now for the US dollar. All right, let's go back to, well, I'll figure it out. It'll come to me. KRI, a lot of people have been asking about the KRI. This is a very simple indicator. Does one thing only, gives you psychological indications of where the market is. We saw very clearly some overbought areas, right? We saw that we have some overbought, some screaming levels, looked like where it looked like here. It started to come back in, jolted higher. Currently trading at what, a +2, I guess, right? No, +3. We're at +3 before the open today. That means that some cautious is due, but we realize that there still is a trend higher. Very simple, explains it all to the right. This is like $29, $25 a month. You don't do anything. There's no changes to make. All you do is look at this once to twice to 3 times a day, see where things are to understand where the bias is on trading overall. Let's go back here. So I talked about altimeter, unfair high low, point of control. Oh, all of these are available on our user guide. Now I want to kind of bring this over. I really never have done this before for you, but I want to show you. This is the Commander series, right? You know, we have 189 positive reviews, 5-star review right there. I want you to look over to the right. So when you go over to the trading app store at TradeStation, if you want, what you could do is, it's kind of, they hide this a little bit, but I'm going to bring this up a little bit. On the right-hand side, right about here, can you see that? What it is a link. It's kind of right there. That link, if you click that, just click on it. It will bring down a downloadable PDF that gives you a full, 12-page instruction manual on how to use the Commander series or whatever particular indicator that you're looking at from TriggerCharts. Also, just to let you know, this is over on the TriggerCharts.com website. We have a ton of videos that are available for you to take a look at. These are all videos that are for training purposes. And finally, if you click education and training, so I'll do that again over on TriggerCharts, education, training. All the replays from these events are available here. And also, what you have is a way to sort. So you can simply say, oh, hey, I'm interested in looking at, for example, the key reversal indicator. Just click that. And then, well, that's a bad example. If you want to click Bitcoin Ace, it will just bring up everything that talks about Bitcoin Ace or whatever it is, everything that was in there, all right? So just something to look at over on TriggerCharts.com, as well as, let's minimize that, over on the TradeStation trading app platform. If you have any symbols that you want me to take a look at, any symbols at all, please put them in the chat right now. I will get to those. Make sure to do that. We have about 6 minutes left. A couple more things, economics, more of the same that we've seen, general slow growth into the recovery. Big question right now is what's going to happen the first quarter. JP Morgan and a few other major players are out looking at the first quarter and saying we're going to enter back into a negative GDP. I don't know if that's really what they're thinking or if they're just trying to pressure the politicians in order to get them to push that stimulus out. One of the other things you have to notice, vaccine news, fast and furious on Mondays. We had the Pfizer, then the Moderna, then the AstraZeneca. The AstraZeneca, which was kind of a bit, I would say, odd when it came to their announcement. Was it 70%? Was it 90%? Even 70% is good, but there was a dosage issue. AstraZeneca pulling back a little bit today. Moderna doing much better on that news. Pfizer doing better on that news as well. And I think that's there. So let's go over back here. Okay. Somebody has a question on NTLA. What is this? Intelli Therapeutics. That's looking pretty good. I mean, look, let's just look at the daily chart, which is probably you're thinking about not trading this necessarily. I don't know if there's a lot of trading opportunities here. Yeah, it's pretty good. You know, you went from 33 to 35 in a day on the 30-minute chart. Saw that launch above. Again, you saw a positive aileron staying in the positive zone. Nice, not getting too overdone on the right chart. We're looking at the 30-minute chart right now. Intelli Therapeutics. Breaking above. Had a nice trade on a 30-minute chart at about, let's call it the 32, 33 level. Could have got in somewhere around there. Would have been out on the orange, which is a profit-taking signal. Out in the orange, about 35 for a quick 8% over a couple of days. Got another yellow, been a bit wonky above. I mean, let's take a look at this a little bit longer term. I mean, this thing broke out dramatically. You got a nice little move here at the 26, 27 level. When again, what am I doing? What do I always want to do? Say it, think it. You know what? I'm going to say it. Ready? Look left. There's nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. There's just nothing going on. This is blank area right here. And what that means is that that is a great opportunity to move up. Now, you have to move up. Right now, we're trading at about 36.80. Wow, you're off the chart here, all the way up here now. There is still a very strong signal for this. I would say that you probably need to see some consolidation after this nice run-up, but the chart looks very healthy. I have no problems with this chart. I don't think anybody else would have any problems with this chart. So good find on that one. Somebody's mentioning SME. No, I don't think so. SME, no. No good. Mushafa, please put in that symbol again. VTRS, somebody's mentioning. There's not enough to go on here. Oh, SRNA, I see it. I'm sorry. Oh, you know what? You're right. That was my old eyes. Couldn't see it from that distance all the way over there. Not enough to go on here, to be honest with you. Quick IPO, so I really can't talk about that. I mean, you know, I want to show you another IPO here. This is AMWL up about 5.75% pre-market. Interesting pattern. Oftentimes I like to get these after they breach above their pre-high. Usually you see this come up, then back down. The play would have been right about there. Try to see if you can get some drop out. I like this. AMWL, what they are is simply a teledoc company, which I think you're going to need a lot more in the future. But these kind of IPOs are very difficult to give any kind of advice, especially for trading. They haven't developed a pattern yet that we really could recognize as something to work with. SRNE, there we go. SRNE, Sorrento Therapeutics, very wild name. Blow off top here. You probably could recognize that from what we talked about earlier. This is a daily chart. Again, use whatever chart time frame you want. Right now, banging against the bottom, held very nicely, trading about 20% up for whatever reason. I think there was there a news story today with Biogen? I don't know why I'm thinking that. I thought I saw something about that this morning earlier. But you may have right now, where are we trading at 827? Let's kind of draw a quick line there at 827. Right about there? Yeah, give or take. So you do see that right at about 829, you got that resistance point, and we're trading right about that in the pre-market. If you can get above that, you got a good opportunity. Now, momentum, it seems, is on the side of this kind of name, where you see that once it gets some legs, it starts to go pretty well. I would keep a watch on this. Maybe look for a little bit of a pullback. At what level? You know, if you can get down to probably the previous period, about $8, that could be interesting to add back on. Clearly, it's just you know, going to move probably today very dramatically, like we're seeing a lot of these other names right now move from the perspective of once you get something under its swings, things start moving very nicely. Hey, I want to thank everybody for joining me. The recording will be available. Please do me a favor. All these are available on our YouTube channel for TriggerCharts, as well as on TriggerCharts.com. But I want to tell you something. Anyone who converts and becomes a client of the Commander Series. If you buy a subscription to the Commander Series, first-time users of it, write us at support@TriggerCharts.com, because you're going to get a 4-hour training course that we put together for you online at your own leisure, a coaching session that will give you the insights that everyone loves. It's a timeless, evergreen piece we did a number of years ago, but it's usually sells for $199. Yours free for becoming a subscriber to the TriggerCharts Commander Series. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a great Thanksgiving weekend. We'll be here again next Friday, and well, have a great trading day.